Hi there.
Hello, Brandon. How are you?
Hi, this is Rahul.
Yeah, we're going to start soon. Thank you.
Hi, Rahul.
Hey,
Hello,
Brandon.
Diana.
How's it going?
Good, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
A pleasure.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Great,
we're
guys.
going to start after 2 minutes. Okay. So everybody get ready, and we're going to start after 2 minutes at 5:02.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's get ready to get started. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, very clearly.
Great. Okay.
And you look beautiful as always.
You hear me okay right now? I changed the format. You hear me clear? Can you hear me?
Better before.
Can you hear me? Better than before. Okay, that's
No.
great.
The before was better.
Okay, great. That's great. Hello, good afternoon, Silicon Valley, and good morning, Asia. Welcome to Silicon Valley Innovation Forum, innovation dialogue between the US and Asia. I'm Diana Dean. I'm going to be the moderator for this panel today. This event is presented by Silicon Valley Innovation Channel, Dingding TV, and the Monte Jade Science and Technology Association of Shenzhen. And we would like to also thank to the Ministry of Economic Affairs of Taiwan. And we want to thank to Mr. Praveen Gupta for the help and support for this event. This event is also going to live stream on Dingding TV YouTube channel. So we also have audience on YouTube channel and Facebook. 2020 had a very difficult start, and the COVID-19 pandemic fundamentally changed how we live and work. But pandemic could not stop innovation. We created this platform, gathered Asian and American industry leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, and think tanks will exchange the innovative minds and ideas, discuss how to best foster, protect, and advance innovation in business world. So before we start, I would like to invite our co-host, co-organizer, the director of Monte Jade Science and Technology Association of Shenzhen, Ms. Shang Ling, to say a few words. Shang, you there? You ready? Okay. Okay, if Shang is not ready, then let's just come to our panel discussion. So today we're going to have 3 panel discussions. And first one will be the artificial intelligence in e-commerce. The panel discussion will be 25 minutes for each discussion, and the last 5 minutes will give the speakers a time for interaction, so you can ask questions, interact with one another. So first of all, let's welcome the moderator for the first panel, Artificial Intelligence in E-Commerce, Professor Carl Sterling. Carl Sterling is an entrepreneur and data science specialist at San Francisco Bay Area. He has extensive experience in delivering innovation, creating self-sustaining companies, and establishing business partnerships. He has a deep understanding of data-driven business strategy and leads development and strategy planning for startups, as well as companies focusing on transformative innovations. He's also a lecturer at the School of Informatics and Computing, Indiana University. So I'm going to invite our moderator, Carl Sterling, and he will invite the speakers of his panel. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Professor Sterling.
Thanks, Diana. Well, I think we are all ready to get started here. And quite frankly, I don't think there's been a year with more challenges and more change than 2020. And we're all living through it. So I'd like to kind of go ahead and introduce our panel members. And the first thing we'd like to do is, since we don't have much time, is go right to the questions. I think, are all the panel members here now, Diana?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yes, they're all here.
Great. So I think the first thing might be if each of you could tell us a little bit about what do you think have been the biggest challenges for online e-commerce that your company can help with, and just briefly introduce yourself with a couple of words first. Raul, you want to start?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Super excited to be here. I'm Rahul Chabukswar. I'm the founder and the CEO of HomeSum. HomeSum is an e-commerce platform for grocery stores. We enable offline to online transition for all kinds of grocery businesses. Our clients range from a couple of thousand square feet neighborhood stores all the way up to 100,000 square feet supermarket chains all across US. And we use AI primarily to onboard the grocery stores quickly in the matter of 2 weeks. So even if you're a 100,000 square feet grocery store and carry like 30 to 40,000 items in your store, we are able to leverage AI to determine what's in your store at this point. Quick onboarding and dealing with out of stock items and inventory syncing. Those are the challenges we primarily use AI for. And that's a little bit about our company and how we are helping some of the grocery stores navigate this difficult time of COVID-19 and allowing them to offer their customers online ordering, curbside pickup, and home delivery.
Okay, and James, would you like to go next?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and okay, everyone, I'm James from Yajang Tech, and we are located in Taiwan. And everybody know 2020 is a very special year, and everything is changed. So because we are focused on the AR and we are a kernel engine design and it's a solution provider. So we have some AR and VR solution for our retail client. And sorry, but about myself, we have some engineer and we have some solutions for AR and VR for retail and factory. And 2020 we have some business for retail because everybody cannot go outside to buy something, but also everyone and they will try to shopping online and using some special tools to buy what they need. So I'm thinking that the AR and the VR will be more popular in the future. Yeah.
Brandon, you want to quickly introduce yourself as well?
Yes, hello. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on the panel. I'm very honored by that. Payment Love is my company. What we do is we enable payments in just about any way possible. So that does include organizations that would engage in VR, AR. It also includes online commerce as well as on the retail end of things. And we're able to actually leverage AI in a variety of ways that includes things like chatbots and that type of thing. And there's some interesting statistics about how that acceptance of chatbots and things like that have grown over the last year. People simply just don't care anymore. They just want the answer. And chatbots are great for that. But we work in all types of commerce, basically omni-channel. And so retail stores, while they've been waning and having difficulty in accepting payments and so on, on the end of online commerce, the only challenges there really have been supply chain bottlenecks. Other than that, they're going like gangbusters, and that's most of our business has transferred to online opportunities as well.
Good. Well, thank you for those introductions, everybody. I think, it's gotten to the point where I don't know what the future holds anymore. And sounds like you guys have had to come in and help stores that traditionally may not have even thought about an online strategy to get online or create some kind of a retail experience in the virtual world. As you look forward, what do you think is the next big change we're going to see? Rahul, you want to give that a shot?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we in the grocery space, I think grocery space got sort of like a like a wake up call when Amazon bought Whole Foods a couple of years back, and then everybody sort of started thinking about their online strategy. So that was a little bit of a wake up call for all the grocery stores. But obviously, I think if you think about traditional e-commerce or in groceries, particularly, I'm exclusively focusing on grocery because that's my area of expertise. But if you think about groceries, like traditionally, like about revenue that was attributed to online channel was about 4 to 5%. Pandemic has completely changed the game on that. Like now 30-40% of your revenue is coming from e-commerce. That's but if you look at the e-commerce experience, it's kind of not optimal. Like if you order something on Amazon.com, you will get it on the day that it's supposed to arrive. Nobody from the Amazon warehouse is calling you, hey, I don't have Lenovo laptop in stock. Can I get you Dell? Nobody's doing that. But when you order groceries for delivery, almost always there is a call from the shopper saying, hey, I don't have this brand of milk in the store. Can I get you this? Or something like that. And that's kind of like a turnoff for a lot of grocery shoppers who choose to go online because they're kind of forced to go online due to because they are at high risk, or they don't want to risk going to the stores and so on and so forth. So I think that is going to have to significantly change, and that's going to be the key in really making this sticky. So how do we make sure that when people order something, they get all of that without having to interfere with through their daily activities, like having phone calls, having communication with the shopper. So that's next. I think a big part of like what we do and how we leverage AI today and machine learning today, that's going to be the focus for most of the grocery e-commerce industry going forward.
So in kind of predicting what people are going to need and making sure it's available, or having options that you don't have to call people for.
Right. Yeah. So if you today call Whole Foods, like there are probably like handful of grocers across US who keep the count of inventory, what's in their store. Like you call Whole Foods and ask them, hey, do you have Yo Baby mango banana yogurt? The response from the other side is, hold on. And they go check the cooler and tell you like if they have it in stock or not. And that's the problem.
Well, that makes sense. James, what about you?
Okay, I'm thinking that e-commerce is very, it is already popular in Taiwan, but this year it's more, many people use the, maybe they were shopping online and use it because people cannot go outside to buy something. So I'm thinking the AR and the VR technology can help and speed up people to shopping online, to try maybe like our solution. We have some solution to doing the AR glasses try on. So people, they are using the tools to try the AR glasses on, maybe he stay at home and try the AR glasses on at home. Then he can choose what he like, and maybe like the red glasses, maybe like the yellow glasses, so he can try on his cell phone or on the PC. So I think the e-commerce is e-commerce with the AR or VR technology can help the e-commerce speed up. Yeah.
So more about trial and evaluation of potential purchases. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with both Rahul and James. I think in the way that Rahul is speaking, getting that real-time inventory level is really, really critical. And it's taking AI, and it's going to take probably quantum computing to be able to manage all of the data ultimately. But the AI factor, and to James's point, being able to hold it in your hand or feel like you're holding, or have it appear like it's in front of you, that's very important. People still want that first-person experience. But if I, looking forward, if I had a crystal ball, which I don't, but if I had to guess, which is what I'm going to do, I would say it's going to be much, much more of the same. Expectations are changing. The expectation is, as was mentioned earlier, for instance, with Amazon, when I order it, I want it now. I want to know when it's going to be delivered at my door. And this isn't just the millennials calling for this. Kyle, people like that are our age, people like you and I are having that expectation now that, I've ordered it. It said it was going to be here. I want it now. And so meeting that expectation and making sure the supply chains are in full effect, full force, and then being able to manage the customer experience. That is melding all of these technologies together and creating what is truly an omni-channel experience is really what the future is about.
Okay, so thanks, Brandon. I do think that it's changed everybody's experience. I know that when I'm actually physically in the grocery store, I'm surrounded by Instacart people, and that's a different experience for everybody. What do you think about brand loyalty in this type of purchasing environment or e-commerce environment? So we've heard a little bit, Rahul said people are having to think about alternative brands. I also think that some people are just following brands and making decisions on purchase decisions based on the brand name less than price or some other things. But what do you guys think about that? Rahul?
Yeah, I think social media is definitely playing a big role in that. I think a lot of brands are trying to play on the making a play on the social aspects, lot of emotional aspects versus the actual what it does. So like for Coca-Cola, for example, like delivering happiness, right? So that's just an example, but that's how I think a lot of brands are marketing themselves. I think one thing that is another factor that is playing key role in purchasing that we are seeing across all the online shoppers' behaviors is that there are a lot of more and more shoppers these days who are like thinking about the social, economic, and the environmental impact of things. So things like Seventh Generation, which was considered as an expensive brand few years back, which was like no chemicals, no artificial ingredients, all natural ingredients, like that was considered a premium brand, but now it's pretty much considered a common brand. And if you look at the other CPG brands like P&G, they have the product lines which are now catering to the audience who are going after Seventh Generation and so on and so forth. So I think it's social media and the social as well as the environmental impact is playing a big factor in people's decision. That's what we are seeing.
Thanks, Rahul. How about James? What do you think about this, the dynamics of branding in this new world we're all in?
James drop. I don't see him.
Brandon, you want to go ahead and take that until we see?
Absolutely. I think that there's kind of a conflict. So we have on the one hand, people like brands. I like certain brands myself, but if I need it now and I can get a good substitute for that, I'm typically going to be okay for that, or okay with that. So I think it kind of depends, and it as we look forward, and we've a lot of this is we're talking about AI. It's about how good is your AI. How good is your AI engine? Is it good enough to provide a good substitute that's going to meet the needs, meet the specifications of the buyer? And if so, getting that in front of the buyer instead of they go to the, and I'll use Amazon as an example because they're kind of the gorilla right now. but you go to the Amazon page and the product that you put in your cart is no longer available. And now you get a bunch of substitutes, and Amazon's AI is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And it gets the things in front of you that you want to see. And, you know, you do a quick evaluation. The tighter they can make that and the quicker that you can make that decision, the quicker they can get you off that brand and get you onto something else that's going to fulfill the basic need. So I think branding it's important, but it's also about, to some degree, availability. You know, I think the nowness of it can supersede that in some cases.
Okay. Well, and I also wonder sometimes what's going to happen to physical retail, and what is going to be the transition there. We're going through in the Bay Area now a renewed lockdown, so we kind of have this different phase of limited online to all online to mixed environment. And I think, what do you guys think is going to happen to physical retail? Rahul?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. The way I think about it is, I think there are two kinds of behaviors that I usually see in retail shoppers. One, the kind of shopping that they like to do and that they're motivated to do. So if you think about like you're gonna go and buy a suit for somebody's wedding or a tuxedo or a dress, like, you know, then you're gonna want to do that shopping. You don't want to like do the guesswork and do that online. Another case is where you actually have like like you are doing a shopping for a cultural event or something like that. So you take your entire family and you go for shopping, and that's the second kind of trip that people want to take. I think there will be a more and more pronounced distinction between the trip that you want to take and the trip that you don't want to take, but you need the stuff. And I think the second category will all move slowly towards e-commerce, and people will just be like for example, like if you're buying like a body wash or a deodorant, like, you know, there's nothing, like you have been using the same brand of stuff for years and years, so you just get it from Amazon or you get it from some e-commerce website which will deliver you to the fastest and at a reasonable price. So that's how I think retail stores are here to stay. You are going to always have the trips that you're going to want to take. And I think the primary thing for the retail stores is what is the wow factor? What is the service that you're providing that separates you or sets you apart from your competition? So every grocery store that we talk to these days, they are always talking about what's my differentiator. Nobody talks about like I'm competing with price, you know, because that's a slippery slope. You are going to hit a wall somewhere at some point. So I think everybody is concerned about what's my differentiator, why people come to my store. And that's the kind of thing I think that will keep taking people to the retail store, and the trips that you don't want to take will continue to be online. That's how I think.
Okay, so Brandon, what do you say?
Well, I think that was very insightful, Rahul. I think that's probably very true, but I'm going to fall back to what I said back in the 1990s when I spoke at an event for a newspaper convention. And that is basically calling for the downfall of retail. You know, and that is, I agree in some respect, there are trips that you're going to want to make. And I think luxury brands and things like that, they will remain strong. But I think that, you know, general, I mean, we just have to look around. You know, I was actually just doing a quick search online to see electronic stores, but like the Best Buys, you know, those types of things. I mean, it's kind of hard to find an electronics store right now. Yeah. And that's because some of it's due to closures and things like that, but some of it's going to continue. And I think that the overall future really is in online commerce. And, you know, and I have to, you know, coming back to our main focal point here, AR, VR, and e-commerce, omni-channel, those things are critically important for any business moving forward. you either participate in a part of that or you're going to be left behind. So, you know, that's, I mean, even LV and you know, all the top brands, they still have online commerce. They don't rely only on the retail stores, even though that's a great strength for them. And I think if you don't jump on the bandwagon, it's going to be a bad, you know, or a sad scenario for retail.
So it's kind of like if you snooze, you lose, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think we're just about at the end of our time. Maybe we have a minute or two to open to questions. Is that all right, Diana? If there are any questions.
Oh, yes. Yeah, actually, you know, you guys can open questions for the speakers to interact with one another. If they want to ask each other questions, they can do so at this time. You still got five minutes. You got 5 minutes.
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. Did James make it back? I guess not. Well, I think that you guys have pointed out two important things. One, that there will still be some shopping, but it's going to be very limited. And it's going to be special occasion or some kind of social group decision that maybe gets people to go to an in-store environment. And I'm not sure, what other things should we be thinking about that we haven't mentioned so far? Rahul?
I think it's the biggest thing that we think about at HomeSum and we hear from the customers is the experience. And I go back to the point of like you ordering something and you're not receiving part of the order, like you order 10 items and you only get 7. Or like, you know, somebody's constantly bugging you over the text message or phone call. Do you want this? Do you want that? I don't have this. I don't have that. I think that's the frustration out of all this e-commerce, grocery e-commerce, that we're going to have to think more critically as like the larger and larger percentage of the people start using this day in and day out. And if we really want to make it a habit, I think it's going to need for companies like HomeSum, and I mean HomeSum is a small participant today. We want to be like a large participant in e-commerce, grocery e-commerce. But I think all the companies will have to significantly change how all these things are handled. That's how I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for new independent products to get into the system too. Brandon, what thoughts do you have that we haven't covered?
The only thing that I was thinking of is the aspect of marketing relating to AI. So we haven't really talked about that. And I think that is going to continue to be, whether it's AR, VR, or if it's traditional online e-commerce, you know, we're going to continue to see more and more of that, more ads that follow you, more, you know, recommendations and things that just get it in front of you more and more frequently.
That's kind of scary.
It is. It's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, on the one side, it's great because it's going to be directed towards your needs, but on the other side, it can be invasive. I mean, if you look at movies like, you know, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mars, I don't remember what it was called.
Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah, and Minority Report. I mean, those were cases where, can you imagine somebody walking down the street next to you on a screen, on a window, saying, hey, have you looked at this? You know, Brandon, you know, using your name, personally addressing you. Absolutely, there's some huge downside, but you know, in the long run, that's the direction we're headed, and that's the reality that we probably will go through. It's just a matter of managing that and making it workable for everyone.
Yeah, I think it might work for the retailers, but I don't know that it works for the customers. And I don't know if they will put up with it forever. I mean, right now it's difficult not to. You know, you have two choices: take it or leave it, right?
Yeah, we've seen technology changes that have cut out like the pop-ups and things like that. So, you know, there are ways of managing it, and it's going to have to be managed one way or another. I'm not at all agreeing or calling for it. I'm just saying it's probably going to be what happens.
Yeah, I think we reached some tipping.
Hey guys, I've had my hand up for a couple minutes.
Oh, sorry, didn't see it.
It's all right.
Oh yeah, Heather has questions. Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
I'm Heather Durham. I produce a local TV show. We're on 20 stations in the Bay Area and SV Tags. And I'm one of those people that do like to shop in person. And, you know, of course, now being forced to shop online. And a lot of my chef friends that, you know, do food, they prefer to go to the farmer's market. So how do you envision, you know, yeah, Whole Foods, sometimes it's a hit or miss. And I've done some shopping with Safeway and they substitute, you know, online now. And but I do prefer, like, on the weekends to go to the farmer's market along with a lot of my chef friends. How do you think that's going to pan out in the future?
Well, I think the chef friends are all going to be out of business because all the restaurants are going to close.
Well, there's private chefs too, though.
Private
You know?
And
yeah.
I'm sad about that, and I think it's going to be kind of unfortunate, but there's a lot of stresses on those types of venues. Farmers markets, they're kind of closed in the winters, but there's a couple of them still open, and I see they're pretty vibrant and a lot of people at the ones that are remaining. They have to reconfigure and do their own accommodations. But yeah, it'd be really interesting. Brandon, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it comes down to accepting how your customer wants to pay. So as far as online commerce is concerned, relating to a farmer's market, I don't see a real connection there. That's an in-person thing. It's an experiential. It's a quality thing. And I prefer to eat organic food myself, and I definitely support local markets. And but from the aspect of being able to do the transaction, it's about having a device, whatever type of device it is, that you can swipe a credit card or use a phone on, or whatever the case may be, to make it more convenient. That's going to be important for any business moving forward.
Rahul?
Yeah, I think the farmers market or places like that, which are providing like a specialized, unique experience, I think I strongly believe that they are here to stay. I think the payments is the big aspect that I expect to change, and I hope it changes soon. Because every time like I go to the farmers market, like if I have to like pay with cash at some merchants, then it's cumbersome experience. So I think that's the aspect I think it will change the quickest, because I think there are a lot of companies who are doing innovation, including Brandon's company, in the payment space. So so I think that is the first thing that will change. I think the second thing I expect, I was actually surprised that it hasn't caught on so much, is that I think like which vendors are coming to the farmers market, what they're selling, why, like what is their background, and so on and so forth. I think there's a story behind all that, right? When you go and when you visit a farm, a stall that belongs to a farm, I think that part is still like you don't know what's going on unless you go to the Sunnyvale's Farmer Market website and which vendors are there. I think that will have to be, that information transfer will have to be like much more organic, much more fluid, so that it gets people excited about this. I think I think it would be pretty sad if farmers market go away, but I hope that they will stay.
Well, and I was talking about the bigger picture, not just farmers market, but like instead of shopping at Whole Foods online, going and actually shopping, I prefer to go and shop in person when I can for my groceries, right? Because you don't know what's going to show up at your door. And so I was talking more about the bigger picture, not just farmers market, but the whole food shopping experience and the whole ecosystem there. If that's going to severely change now after the COVID-19. If we're going to see a big change.
I think as a percentage of people who go, I think if you look at it, like now, COVID pretty much made it mandatory for a lot of people to order online. Like if I had asked you last year, would you ever order groceries online? Your answer would be hell no. But you tried it this year. Now what that made is I think if 10 people tried it, which they never thought they would, 5 of them would stick around and say that it's not that bad. I'm okay with it. And I save an hour out of my day. So I think that's what will happen. So more and more shopping will be moving to online. You will see a lot of places, we already seen many grocery stores who are doing a similar concept like ghost kitchens. So they just have warehouses. They don't have physical locations anywhere in the city, but they're just doing the delivery out of the warehouses because they have customers there and they're following there. So that part is something new that COVID did. But I think there will still be grocery stores and people who will go to those grocery stores. There will be people who will be like, I prefer to shop for my fruits myself. I know exactly the kind of apples I like to pick, and I'm going to pick them myself. I'm going to take the time. The percentage of the people who will do that will be less, but they will still be there. And as a result of that, what you will, as the business owners or the grocery store managers, will have to do is they will really have to make sure that they are customizing the experience and optimizing the experience for people who are walking through the door. Otherwise, that number will continue to decline.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks very much, friends, for the questions and your insights. I think we're truly in a brave new world of shopping experiences here. And I don't think anybody quite knows how it's going to turn out, but I really appreciate you sharing your insights. Diana, you want to pick back up here?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. And thank you so much for the wonderful moderator for this panel. And thanks to our speakers, Rahul, James, and Brandon. Thank you very much. So our next panel discussion is going to be innovation on digital textile platform. And I'm going to be the moderator for this panel. And yes, for all of you already know me, I'm the founder and CEO of Silicon Valley Innovation Channel, Didin TV. So next, I'm going to invite our speakers to join us. Wei Fan, who is a co-founder of Frontier, has 10 years of experience in fashion. And also, I'm going to invite another speaker, is Joshua Bernstein. And Bernstein is also the fashion designer, well-recognized fashion designer in San Francisco. Before we start, I'm going to have you guys to introduce yourself. Each can have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. So Joshua, you there? Let's start with Joshua. Yes, thank you. Joshua, unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. Please unmute yourself. Then, well, you can do some testing for that, and let's have Wing here. Wing, can you give a short introduction of yourself? Joshua, you can keep on testing until we hear you. We're gonna, pull you out. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Wayne, you're there?
And Wayne said he is waiting now. So did you see
Okay.
that? Yeah.
So how about let's do the third panel first. Do we have all our speakers ready there?
Okay, I'm ready now.
Okay, Joshua is on. Diana.
Oh, great. Joshua is there. So is Wing there? Sandy. Can we get Wing on the screen? Okay. So Joshua, let's start with Joshua. Give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, thank you. Years ago, I was working for a museum marketing to launch a museum on Market Street. And I was observing the beautiful paintings of Asian painting, Chinese painting. I had to go pretty deep into understanding Asian ink brush classical painting. And after a while, I realized I wanted to see that moving and animated. And I met designer Monique Zong, and we teamed up to create fashion with the classical Asian ink brush. My background is mostly the arts, music, and also recently full stack development and web engineering.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you so much. Yes, and I want to thanks to my friend Monique Zhang. And Monique is a well-respected Asian American fashion designer in San Francisco, and she is a partner of Joshua. So Monique recommended Joshua here. So thank you, Joshua, for joining us in our time. Thank you. Yes. So when Wayne is ready, and Wayne just tell us when you get online, and we will include him. but let's start our dialogue here for the topic. Yes. Today we're going to be talking about the innovation on digital textile platform. I know that for the fashion, there are so many, textiles. So what is the current situation and challenges in the fashion and obstacle industry in the US during the pandemic? Joshua, can you share with us?
During the pandemic, I think I can just say that overall, in terms of digital textile, the main challenge would be that it becomes two-dimensional. And also it can lose some of that cultural depth of artistry and also learning that it takes to develop some of those skills. Let's say that if it's embroidery and then it's photographed and then it's also then printed, it can become pixelated or not enough details, so it can feel two-dimensional. In terms of COVID, I would say that I think the limitation is really that we're having to do everything digitally rather than meet up with people that we normally might want to see, the quality and touch it. But we can send things over, ship things overseas, so that's not really a huge limitation. But maybe the factories for production are not, they're shut down, or it's a lot harder to get the kind of numbers you want. And also seeing your customer is very difficult. They don't necessarily want to see you, but they would like to ship items. But then again, they won't see the depth of it just by looking on the computer. They need to actually touch it. And I think when you let someone touch the fabric and they can really feel the difference, they will tend to be more willing to purchase it.
Well, so I know that you and Monique are, really, specialized in the dress, the dress. So, how do you do that? Normally, you will need to create a prototype, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You mean in how do we specialize in the dress? You mean, and what are we doing now about that? Well, again, it's the customers that would normally see us at a show, because we're both fashion producers. We'll actually create the clothes and also invite other designers, and then we'll have people to actually see the clothing and then be able to touch it, and it's easier for them at that point. And then maybe we invite them from there to be able to come to the studio. Now that's not happening at all during COVID, so we had to redesign ourselves and make masks. And now there are a lot of people are appreciating this mask that Monique has designed. I can paint on the mask. She can create the mask out of very special fabrics. For example, the shibori. There's a beautiful mask here. Let me show you. It's a shibori fabric.
Oh, very beautiful. Wow.
Made into a mask. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be multiple layers.
Wow.
Some of it is from a kimono, for example.
That's very creative.
Yeah, so we work together to kind of adjust ourselves in the fashion scene to what people might actually be more open to. And then they come and they see it in the window and they say, oh, we want to try that, we want that. And we have people buying that. That's successful.
Yeah, seems like
go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to, okay. In terms of making an outfit, okay, this is a digital print.
Wow, is that your painting?
No, actually, this one is the digital, and you can see that it's a little bit more pixelated. My painting, I'll show you in a minute. Let's see.
Yeah, it looks like your painting.
Yeah, it's similar in some way. This is the painting.
Beautiful.
And so these are translucent organza, and these are the actual original, not printed on through a printer. I mean, printing quality has gotten very good now, because in terms of Epson or printed dots, you're able to get even smaller micro dots. So the quality is getting better. You can see the brush, but in terms of something like this, you couldn't reproduce it very well. It'd be very difficult. I don't know if you can see very well, but we can put up other images later.
Yes.
So this is
Wayne
what-
is here.
Yes. Oh, great. Wayne is here, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wayne, right? Great, great. Welcome, Wayne.
No problem.
Yeah, finally you're here. Thank you for getting on. So Wayne, can you
No
give
problem.
a brief introduction about yourself?
Oh, hi, my name is Wayne, and then I'm the co-founder of Frontier.cool. A little bit about what we do as well.
Yes.
Frontier is currently the largest digital textile cloud in the world. And our purpose is to help businesses in the fashion apparel industry transform themselves digitally. What that means is move your workflow from offline to online. And then we do that via a vehicle that is a collaboration SaaS. It's a software, it's in the cloud. You can sign in with a set of email and password and then do your work there. Basically, that's what we do.
Thank you, Wayne. You see Joshua here. And Joshua is a designer, he's an artist, is a painter, and also
Yep.
an engineer.
Yep.
So yeah, Joshua just introduced himself. And,
I caught that part. Yep.
Great, great. Oh, you heard that. Great, great, wonderful. So Wayne, you built this textile digital platform, and why you started this company, and what issues you find in the industry? You want
Okay.
to, what's the problem you want to solve?
Currently, okay, okay, let's think about in the aerospace and the auto industry. Not a single car or an airplane is actually being designed by manually drawing a picture. Maybe it was 100 years ago, but then if you think about how these machineries are designed, the industry has moved toward an AutoCAD computer-aided design base. And then our thinking is that we can, with digital design, you can achieve a lot more. That's basically our aim. Now, so the biggest, I would say, bottleneck or obstacle in the industry right now lies in the material, because soft goods material, it's so hard, it's difficult to digitalize. It's costly to digitalize. Therefore, the entire industry, it's the biggest bottleneck where to move from offline process to an online process. That's where that problem is. And then we exist to solve that basic fundamental problem along with other applications, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So what do you think, Joshua? You heard just Wayne just mentioned about that. And how do you think about, his platform? And can you just tell us that,
Sure.
there's a platform like this, and what do you want that to be look like?
Well, there was a time that I had a chance to visit a designer over at Gap, and they were sending their designs back and forth to China, and it was very hard for them to keep track of their iteration of their design. And then she was in the department where she would create one-off design samples before they would start production. And I noticed that it was very hard for them to keep track going back and forth just by email. And I think a cloud would be fantastic, especially if it had, like, software engineers use Git. We use this thing called Git, which keeps track of every time someone makes a change. So in a situation like that, in a corporation, it would be very valuable to have a cloud that could keep track of different changes and give more customization to the company doing those designs. For a designer like myself, I suppose it could be useful, but I don't really know, because I don't know the software that well yet to judge it. I think for a larger corporation, it's immediately useful if they have multiple sites, all around the world. They need to get to different offices and communicate between offices. It's very helpful to have that. When I was in China, I tried in China to do a drop ship. It's called what's
drop
that?
Shipping.
Dropbox.
A Dropbox.
I had to go to some guy's street corner and try to use his computer and try to send a file. And I swear it was impossible. It was impossible because of the China firewall, just to send a Dropbox image back and forth. Okay, and this was just like a image of some artwork. So, so yeah, it'd be hugely valuable, especially for larger corporate companies, especially working in Europe, if you want to get your information out to people right away, and for warehouses and production lines. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I add a point? Do you mind I add to Joshua's point?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Joshua pointed out a general phenomenon in the industry right now. That's what we call it the remote work situation. I think for different industries, every industry is trying to find the solution to kind of work remotely and then work online.
Right.
We sort of, we don't have an end-to-end solution, but then currently we do have something that's better than simply Outlook and Excel sending back and forth.
Sure.
So in we support, we're a decent solution for this part, because right now a lot of, for instance, Levi's, they're based in one of our clients, they're based in San Francisco. I mean, a lot of their teams, they just don't even work in the office anymore. And even though their factory supply chain sending packages after packages to their office, sometimes if one person there but the rest of the team not there, so they still got to do some kind of Zoom call or wiggle around a piece of fabric like you just did in front of a camera, which isn't very helpful when you have when you're trying to do a line planning with thousands of materials. So what we do is that we digitize. We have a very simple way to digitize materials, and then kind of just have the specs, all these associated information regarding a product lying in an organizable, in a same setting, so to speak. So you can communicate, so you can reiterate and have con calls, everything in a more friendly setting. I think to speak to the remote part of things. And then I just want to add another point, is that this need actually spun out of when we started the company initially. That's not it. At first, that's not what we wanted to do immediately. But then since starting April this year, every single trade show was canceled, at least in the foreseeable future. I mean, so far, you still don't see any physical trade shows. Yeah. Let's not get into the discussion whether trade shows are good or bad. Some people have different opinions toward that. But then the buyer and seller communication interactive aspect is kind of gone. So a lot of the factories, garment factories, supply chain people, they want to push their product in front of their clients. And then we help these companies do that digitally. That's just one area that we kind of have a solution to.
Oh, that's cool. That would be very helpful.
Like you guys have a lot of in common and talk about in this fashion industry. So you guys better connect after this event and have maybe potential collaborations in the future. So Joshua, talking about the platform like this, well, for you, and what would you hope that this services would provide to you? And also, would you like to become a member or something like that for the designers? So.
Of course, we were just talking about tracking jobs. So like when you have a job they're working on, you can track it, and tracking communication, making notes. But I guess the dream thing there would be, now that we're all doing this Zoom and having to do video, instead of sending samples halfway around the world, would be able to have really good digital samples and people be able to recognize. For example, the organza I showed you is so different than, and there are different types of organza. It's so different than, Dupioni fabric. And then it's very hard to show that. But there are standards in the industry where many other people will know what you're talking about when you mention it. But there's different color and sheen and everything. And, you know, color is the hardest aspect, I think, of design in terms of digital communicating it over a distance. Because even now, whatever you see on your screen could be brighter than what's actually printed. We do have the Pantone, we do have the CMYK, but once we get to that print, we are always adjusting, oh, it's too dark, oh, it's too light, let's print it again. And we waste a lot of ink, you know, or resolution can be a real problem. So the problems you have with video are also the problems you may have if you're trying to, for example, scan in a painting I did and then go and try to mass produce it in a factory in Laos or wherever it would be done. You know, they may not have the computer that I have exactly, and when they look at it, it's darker, and then when it gets actually printed on that machine, it may not be high enough resolution for me. But even now, I wouldn't know that because I don't see the fabric. Even after they printed a whole roll of it, it may be no good, you know, and a disaster. So I'd love to see some way to prevent some of those problems. Having basically a way to agree on.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like sometimes I bought a clothes online, and it come, you know, when I received that, a totally different color. So this really happens. So Wayne, for the, you know, this industry, like Joshua mentioned, they are like the artists. They really want to reach to the highest quality. And how do you prevent this happen? The color difference and, you know, some of the quality controls, and how the digital platform can help.
I want to speak to 3 areas that Joshua mentioned. I think those are general areas every artist or designer would immediately face. The color issue, first of all, it's no longer an issue. The way we do it is that when you scan, not even us, there are other devices in this industry where you could capture a very good image. So the visual aesthetics of a material, you can actually capture quite well. I wouldn't say 100%, but then I would say 80-90% is pretty well done. So what they do with color is that with the image recognition, what we do is we automatically match you to the Pantone, to a Pantone color. So you kind of know what it is. And then visually on your computer screen, again, every computer is different. So you're going to be seeing it slightly differently. So that's a color issue. So technically, we can match it with the correct Pantone for starters. And then secondly, what's important is when you mentioned an organza, the physical properties of a material is very important. That's why we're already collaborating with major 3D software companies to feed them the physical values that's necessary to have an accurate rendering. So designers like yourself can really make the call to really see what it looks like when it's computer designed. So what is entailed in the fabric digital physical property are values such as stretch, such as bend or drape or thickness, material. All these things will actually affect the physical appearance of the material. And then that part is actually already achieved as well by a lot of 3D software companies around the world. And then we want to have a tighter collaboration with these people. And then lastly, I want to speak to the sample process. Historically, making sample is very unsustainable. I think you know yourself. And so at this stage, what we want to achieve is that instead of making lots of iterations, let's try to get a prototype maybe 80-90% right. And then we go ahead and make that, I wouldn't say the final product, but then, so let's just reduce a bunch of the other waste of the iterations before that final stage digitally, and then make that last sample. So at the end of the day, when your factory ideally will be able to get all the specs associated with that organza or that particular print, and then be able to make you that one sample that's really closest to what your idea is, instead of a lot of errors happening, color issues through back and forth miscommunication, which actually happens quite a lot with email, with Outlook and Excel. I mean that's just a human error. It happens, but then we try to reduce to the minimum.
The other aspect that's very important is the depth. And that deals with like the sheen of the material, and it also deals with probably there's probably something there that hasn't been scientifically able to prove. You know, how far the ink goes inside the material at a micro level. There is you know, something that's kind of hard to control, may be able to control, but scientifically, you know, it's a little bit, Italy has done a well, you know, I would say out of all of the different printing machines that I've come across, they've done really well with it. But I've seen things, well, again, you said it's really under control now. I think it has improved a huge amount. And you see that in the fashion shows in China in the last 2 years. You see a lot of shows that have beautiful printing. But again, it's the depth that you miss, because when you look at the original painting, not done on fabric, you know, and then transferred over to fabric, it's really quite different. And I would say that, you know, because, well, in the Western painting, the three-dimensional aspect is so huge. In the Eastern painting, it's this, the space itself becomes an element of the painting. And so capturing the space is so critical for that style. And I think that that will be something interesting to improve in terms of fabric printing. I still prefer the one original artwork done on directly on the fabric, but I think we're getting there, and it also depends how you use that printed fabric in a design of a dress that can make it shine or be a success or not. And then again, there's always the customer who prefers something printed to something that's embroidered, and it's also price points too. There's a lot of factors there which the customer will have different opinions on. But as the designer, you know, you have a lot of opinions yourself about what you think is going to be amazing and excellent. Like I was saying at the beginning, there's a lot of cultural value that could be lost in terms of the depth. For example, there's a certain style that takes maybe 10 years to learn. I saw it in Taiwan, and it's an embroidery style which there's fabric put it makes it puff up, so it's like 3D coming right out of off the surface. And so if you made like an apple, it would actually come out a little bit off the skirt, and you'd see this apple with all these leaves around it. And that technique took the person many years to learn. But once you scan that into a computer and it becomes really more two-dimensional, do you value what it really took to make it in the first place? That's one of the questions I have.
Great. Yeah, you guys got 1 or 2 minutes. So before we take off, and I would give 1 minute to each person to give a summarize and what you would imagine the future digital textile platform should be.
Excuse me, could you rephrase that question? I didn't catch it.
Yes. For we're talking about the digital textile platform. So what would you imagine the future the platform should be? How that function, and what are the things that you can imagine?
Okay.
Nice.
Excuse me, Joshua, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that's really a nice question. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, it's not really the future anymore. A lot of the companies in this space, technology companies in the apparel space, they're doing it. They're doing proof of concept. They're doing it right now. But then, so the idea is that, for instance, if you I assume living in California, a consumer in California could go online, browse through different digital designs, because they're rendered so nicely. So you can basically see the apparel in 3D spinning online.
Right. Yeah.
You place the order. Once the order is placed, I mean, you can fit it onto your body via your body scan. Like it's even a better match, a better fit testing than without the 3D. So once you place the order, makes the payment, then manufacturing goes to make that product and then drop shipping it directly to your house. I think that is a digital workflow connected with e-commerce and then connected with an on-demand supply chain. That's kind of It's kind of a digital supply chain. Frontier cannot achieve all this by ourselves. We're working with different partners to try to complete that chain. And then last thing I want to add is that we're not really promoting everything digital. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to find a solution that is a better integration of online and offline. We're not saying just get rid of all the physical material, because at the end of the day, designers still want to design physical garments. Apparel companies, they're still selling physical good. So we're really just a tool to accelerate that process or optimize that process. I think that's something that I want to stress. That's probably it.
Thank you, Wing. We
No
have
problem.
to create a vivid picture for us. It's not only online; it's also a physical store. Yes, definitely. So, Joshua, well, can you just imagine what kind of service and you hope that the digital platform can help you with your designing work and industry?
I would say access to what I couldn't have access to now. As an individual or as a team of designers, I would want to have access to some of the best printing and some of the really great factories that can manufacture, you know, all the way from a sample to 10,000 or 4,000 of those. Sell it online. That would mean I would want a system that would make it simple for me to sell online, and for the customer to visualize that, which was what Wayne was talking about. That's fantastic. There's a lot of pieces out there, and they could be put together.
There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. You're right. Yeah.
They could be put together, and it'd be really awesome. I think.
You guys can put the pieces together and make this puzzle a beautiful picture.
Sounds fun. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Joshua. And please say hi to Monique for me. Thank you.
I will. Yes, great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now let's come into the last panel discussion. That will be how will service robots fit into education? So first of all, let's welcome the moderator, Heather Dunham, my good friend Heather. She's the founder of Silicon Valley Technology, Art, Green, and Sustainability, a TV show, educational website, and programs. And Ms. Dunham is one of the founding members of U.S. Green Building Council Northern California chapter, Silicon Valley branch. She was also on the board of Event Council at Silicon Valley Capital Club for 9 years, and she's very active in our community and wearing many hats. So next, let's welcome Heather to be the moderator and invite her panelists.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Heather.
Hi. Hello. Hi, guys. So I'm going to ask everybody, I don't know about you, but I'm going to ask everybody just to get up and stretch for a second.
Okay,
stretch a little bit.
I agree.
Let's do a little stretch break. Let's do a quick stretch and get a little, it's kind of late, and let's do a little stretch. Something that AI can't do for us, right? We have to do that ourselves. And, we have, I think, 3 panelists, right? So Sean, Mr. Thomas, and Lee Ivy. Actually, I think there's maybe even 4 panelists. Is everybody here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to waste time with introducing myself. You read a little intro. Can I have everybody just do a quick self intro? Ivy, let's start with you because you were the first one that popped up on the screen.
Okay. My name is Ivy. I'm the sales director of Newer Robotics. I would like to have a brief introduction about what our company do. Is like little robots that we develop. We have the hardware and software design for these little robots, and now we use this for education. And we are the top. We are the biggest educational robot company in Taiwan. There are over 500 to 600 schools using our robot to do the education in their classroom. So I'm very glad to see everybody, and we can discuss this topic.
That is wonderful. And then is it Bipin Thompson? Thomas? How do you pronounce your first name?
Bipin Thomas.
Bipin. Okay, Thomas. Should I call you Mr. Thomas?
Oh, no, this Bipin is fine.
Okay, can you do a little introduction on yourself as well?
Yes, Heather. Yeah, nice to have you all together join for this wonderful panel and the hosting opportunity. I'm Bipin Thomas. I'm the CEO of iCuro. iCuro is an artificial intelligence systems company. So we focus on primarily building artificial intelligence products here in the Silicon Valley. I'm actually joining you guys from the AI robotics lab in Santa Clara. And so with me is Pepper Robot. Pepper is one of the world's popular service robot used across many countries globally. We work with Pepper Robot. We don't build them or manufacture them, but we provide the software for different industries through Pepper Robot. And this is one of the other robots on my right side, which is a robot that's used for sanitizing, especially in this COVID-19 situation. We have built our own commercially viable and graded robot for sanitizing purposes, using in commercial buildings, facilities, workplaces, schools, and manufacturing centers. So it's a heavily commercial graded robot for sanitization purposes. So really happy to join in for today's panel and very excited to be joined with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I see, is Sean with us or no? No, Sean?
Your here. Your speaker is here. His name is not Sean. It's Ksenia.
Yeah. Okay, because I have Sean Lin also on here as one of the people. So Ksenia is next, and we're pronouncing your name right.
Ksenia is my name.
Ksenia. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. So my name is Ksenia. I'm currently serving as the National Science Foundation's postdoctoral scholar, and I work as a product manager at an ed tech company called Chef Kuchulu. So we actually don't have robots yet, but we, as an ed tech company, we work to integrate cooking as a way to teach science, technology, math, English language arts, and social responsibility. So I'm very much looking to connect with you all on this topic. I have about 12 years of researching media and learning at this point, and we think really deeply about adaptive and artificial intelligence as they pertain to learning and education.
Well, there was a bunch of questions that were sent over, and the one that I thought was really important to kick this off is, in what area or what situation do you hope robots can help humans most in education? So I know you're each going to have a different answer. So I'm going to go, Bipin, I'm going to go back to you first, because I'm interested in the little guys behind you. I've been to many of the maker fairs here in the Bay Area, which last year got to 140,000 people. And then they shut it down, not because of COVID, but because they actually told them they couldn't host it in there anymore because it got so huge. And there were several robots, I think one from France, that they were just giving the software away so other people could use those robots and produce them. So let's hear from you about how you believe this is going to help with education in the future for humans.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. So, we've heard of these online classrooms, but now there is a transformation going on to bring robotic teachers. So once the COVID-19 is behind us and the classes are back in sessions, don't be surprised if your child comes home and tells you that there was a robot in the class. And that robot might have been just standing in for a teacher, or for sharing a particular topic or a subject or a particular theme to introduce to the students in a much more impactful way. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it is good to show the Pepper robot. It's just because it's more like a humanoid, and it has hands, legs, and it can move around. It has a display. It is very sensitive to sound. It can recognize you. So we have set it up when our visitors walk in, it'll recognize by name and being able to greet a person and work with an individual. So the robots have become much more smarter and more human looking. So you feel like you want to interact with it. So it has gone beyond the shape of a toy to something very interactive and interesting. And that's what would attract students and kids, because they want to have that interactive mechanism of sound and gestures and being able to be responsive and something that interacts with them in a very fun way. So for introducing a lot of interesting subjects, the robots could play a key role. And so even post-COVID-19, we believe that there is a lot more educational use cases that the institutions are now preparing for to launch inside this robot. So we primarily focus on building that software that is necessary to drive these kind of very engaging teaching plans and lessons through these robots. The robots also is very helpful for students who have other health reasons that they couldn't go to the schools very long. And that's also another effective way of helping students being more interactive. And it can quiz the student using the speech and the voice as well as the eye recognition. So both the cameras on the robot's eyes as well as the sensors on robots' hands can be used for interacting with the students in a much more interactive way, just like a teacher would do. So that's where I see where the industry is headed, and that's where I see the effective learning mechanisms that takes place with the help of robots.
Well, you certainly jumped ahead to the question too, so we don't have to go there with you. That with what robots will do for education in the future. And this is really interesting because I have several friends, probably about 10 friends of the 20,000 people on my email list who are substitute teachers. And a couple of them are saying they're not going to go back at all. It's not worth the pay to risk their health at their age. Some of them are in their 50s, some are in their 40s. So it's a really interesting point that this may be the substitute teacher of the future for the regular teachers that call in sick. Anyway, let's see. So, and I know I'm going to murder your name again. Is it Kishna?
Ksenia.
Ksenia. Okay, I'm going to say it 100 times in my head. Ksenia, would you like to answer this as well? And it sounds like this is right up your alley. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. I really love that Bipin brought up telepresence. I think that's definitely an area. So rather than decreasing presence or becoming less human, I think robots are definitely tools that can make us more human and increase presence, especially for kids that are sick or cannot be present in the same way. So I've seen telepresence be a very promising research venture. Similarly with adaptive learning and artificial intelligence, so robots as conversational agents, right? So tools that actually help teachers when they have a large classroom, they cannot adapt their teaching to each particular child. And this is where technology, as any tool created by humans, can be either helpful or harmful, right? Depending on the philosophy of the teacher. And hopefully we get to a point where we really believe that personalizable, customizable learning is where we want to meet every kid where they're at and to serve their needs, right? So I think with tools such as service robots, artificial intelligence, and adaptive learning, we will have a much more customizable educational system.
So it's really an interesting, I don't have children myself, but I have nieces and nephews. So it's really an interesting idea of the future. And I keep looking at Pepin, and I'm probably dating myself here, but I'm thinking of like Lost in Space, right? The robot that both the new version and the Netflix version, the older version, kind of reminds you of, that robot. I forget the robot's name. Somebody on the here will probably remember, but following, the young Will around and helping him as an assist, but also, as a computer and other things. So Ivy Lee, let's see. Where are you here still? Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let's go with you next.
Okay, I would like to discuss the subjects that we have that people has said. I totally agree that robot has the emotion. It can interact with people, and the children are very attractive by robots because it is very cute and it's designed by imitate human behavior. So actually, I think there's another applications that we are using right now, and it is very successfully. It's one of our customers. He's using our robots to do the autism treatment because these autism kids, they have less chance to interact with people, and they are not able to build their emotions and to show their social behavior with others. So there's also research showed that people after the robot treatment, they are able to do better than the others without robot treatment. Yeah, so this is what I want to share with others. So, besides in the classroom, it can also use on the autism treatment. And this is very successful. Yeah, in our case.
So I'm gonna we touched on what robots can do for education, but is there more that you want to share, and what functions maybe should they have in the future? But I'm also going to bring up the concerns of buying a robot for education. Is it cost prohibitive for schools right now to do that? Who wants to take that first?
Okay, I can take that first.
Okay.
I think the current challenge, the biggest challenge for the robot and for the classroom is all the robots are too expensive. What we see, like, I'm sorry, I would take the paper as an example. Paper is very, very expensive, and they're still using the rental. The business is still using the rental service. They are not able to buy it for the school because it's too expensive. But for now, everybody knows that robot is very helpful for people, and everybody or every family should have one robot. But for now, the price is too high. People are not able to buy it. So actually, what we do, our solution is that we do a huge cost down on our robots, and we can provide maybe the 10 times the 1/10 of the price on the retail price for people for the people that they can afford it. And we also have the platforms for people that can customize the content on our robots and do the performance, in their either in the classroom or in any type of industry. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the biggest challenge for the robot market, and we are able to provide a solution for it.
Ksenia, do you want to comment as well?
Yeah, I think that as far as the cost of anything in education, I do think prohibitive costs are a challenge, especially for the philanthropic mission that we all share, right? So I definitely think that once research has shown the effectiveness, and then I think, Ivy, what you're saying is that there's also a public health benefit that's associated with helping differently abled children and differently abled adults. And that benefit could potentially outweigh any costs with the purchase, right? So I think as far as the cost versus benefit question, I think that we'll definitely see some movement on the front of that research.
Yeah, so to add to that, Heather, I think the other panelists have rightly pointed out, the current robots are very sophisticated, humanoid in nature. They are, about 3.5, 4 feet taller. So it really is imitating all the human physics and trying to capture the attention and everything. So those are primarily owned by large institutions because they are expensive. And then some of them, as Ivy pointed out, they are being rented or leased as a service, even the robots as a service type of a business model. So that's really picking up, not just in education, but also in healthcare. There are a lot of healthcare organizations using these robots to help within their industry to work with the patients, especially pediatrics. And that's a very good bonding case study. There are several of them happening. But what the trend now is going forward is to make these robots very affordable. And that's the transformation that I'm seeing in the marketplace today, where there is a lot of work going on with companies that are being represented here too, that are building robots to make it more affordable and having every household own a robot. And it could be a smaller size, not the size as a 3.5, 4 feet robot, but it'll be maybe on a tabletop, or it can move around. It will have tiny wheels around it. It'll have all the similar sensors like a camera, speed sensor, the camera sensors, the vision sensors, and touch sensors. So it'll have all the basic features, but it'll be much more interactive and being able to be afford within a particular household. And that too, it'll learn. It's a very adaptive learning. It's a reinforcement learning that runs as a software within it, because then it'll also recognize the sound of different children within a household, the sound of a father, a mother versus the kids. So it can actually understand who the person is talking to and being able to pick up dialogue from where it left off. So it'll really getting smart. The software is very AI enabled within these robots, and the sensor prices are also going lower. So now the manufacturers are stepping up and bringing much more affordable models, which is more software defined, because typically the price of a robot is all in its hardware. You have to have this beautiful case and all the machinery work together, motors, the controllers, all this extra sensors that are on there for obstacle avoidance and everything. All these additional sensors are very expensive. So now if you try to miniaturize these sensors and make it more affordable, and the size also to an affordable price point, you can now have a more software-centric robot, which can be out the door to many of the households. And now that'll make it more practical for individuals or for families to start buying them, perhaps a Christmas gift for their children, to have something like this, which is very affordable and being able to make it very tailored and personalized for a family. And that's the way things are moving. And we're certainly seeing a lot of applications that are being requested, because we focus on the AI software side. So many of the robotic manufacturers do work with us and collaborate with us in deploying these kind of very custom learning pathways for the robots to be deployed in the houses and the households that can purchase them. So that's definitely the way things are progressing. You're on mute.
I'm seeing in the background the head of the robot. Is it Pippin? I don't know if he's going up against the wall, but it's like his, I don't know. It's just very funny.
It's basically following the sounds wherever it is.
Okay.
So I think it's listening to the background sound there. Hey, Pepper. Pepper. It's just trying to get some echo from the other side. So it's just trying to rotate around.
So I'm going back to Maker Faire in the last 3 years, and I cannot remember the name of the robot, but it was an open source AI. So do you see that happening a little bit more now? Is there going to be more open source? And not everybody is techie enough to, go get a Raspberry Pi and build their own robots. But do you see that happening more? Because the maker and making more electronics at home seems to be, at least here in Silicon Valley, I'm not sure about other places, but it seems to be a thing that people are interested in doing, especially right now with so much time at home. Ivy Lee, and anybody want to answer that one? If you're seeing a lot more open source available?
Yes, yeah. Let me also give some of the insights into that. As you rightly pointed out, the open source AI is becoming a fabric that connects all those pieces together. And making it open source, it helps more developers to come into the forum and bring more innovation, drive more innovation faster, quicker, and also cheaper, because it helps you to offer some of those features that the industry needs, and being able to promote those features through this open source forums. So it's really a very valuable forum for the industry, and especially in education, as we can see the massive online education capabilities that are out there today through massive online industries and online education channels that are out producing a lot more material for different subjects and different areas for students to learn and apply and do more exercise. These forums are actually evolving from that learning capability to bring those software capabilities to the robot, and it is actually promoting quite a number of learning capabilities. As the manufacturers pick up, they can also deploy them at much less price point, which makes it even more attractive for people to embrace these technologies. So that's very much a new trend, which was already there in many other industries, but bringing that into the world of AI, it is actually dominating it. The second factor, which I like to wrap up with, is the bias of the data, the bias of the learning approaches. So different people learn in different ways. So instead of one company trying to, or one region or one country trying to develop a particular way of training and tutoring, now you have a variety of dimensions applied from different parts of the world who can contribute to. So it's not biased to a particular learning methodology or a system. You have a lot more folks around the world promoting and guiding and giving value to that bias that needs to be unbiased, and being able to deliver this in a much compelling manner so that it can be adopted to different regions, languages, cultures. So that's something also being very much a value that OpenAI Forum is promoting.
Ladies, do you want to add anything too?
Yes, I totally agree. I'm sorry, is that me?
No, it's all good.
Okay, I totally agree with Bipin's point that I think the biggest challenge for robot is that people don't see us a consumer product, electronic product. People see it as a friend, or is a human, as a kid to grow with the others. So I think to expand the robot to other countries or other regions, it's not just translate to other language. It had to fit the other country's culture. You have to say the local language, and I would take Taiwan and China as an example. That we both speak Chinese, but we have the different words to describe the same things. If you use the wrong words, that people cannot accept that. So this is a very highly localization for this kind of product. So I agree with that. The open source is really important. That to have a platform, have more people to build their software and in this robot. And also this is another problem on the robot industry, is that this is a lot of content that most of people still have no idea how can they use the robot. And they are not satisfied with what robot have right now. They expecting robot can do more for them. So if we have open source, that we can have more people to have the input in the robot and to do more application. I think that would be very helpful. Okay, yes.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, and this is circling back to your point about maker education, Heather, this idea of making robots talk or doing something tangible, or even coding machines, learning computational thinking, or just learning how machines work has been shown to be a really beneficial experience, a tangible, relational, concrete learning experience for many children. As we know, right now, a lot of the sort of lecture-based online learning, like I'm lecturing here right now, like this might not be effective because there's no purpose and no so what for you to do with this knowledge. However,
right, it's not tactical. Some kids learn tactical, some are visual, right? So yeah.
both tactile and tactical, exactly. So this idea of you having a reason, a purpose for doing something, right? So coding robots within the maker education umbrella has been shown to be really beneficial. So I think that's also another appropriation or affordance of this movement.
I have a 5-year-old nephew, great nephew in Hawaii that we just bought a kid's scientific microscope. And then I bought along with it, although the book is probably a college level one, is How Things Work. And it talks about how solar works and how a steam engine works. And he's already loving to put stuff together. And, when I was a kid, my dad would work on cars just for fun. And I would go along with him and, work on the car, and I, get up on the roof and do things. I was very hands-on, and he didn't live past the time I was 14, but I think if he lived, I probably would have worked with my hands more as an adult. I still get on the roof and clean my roof myself, although the knees are going, but it's interesting how we learn. And I love to read, and I apparently retain 99% of what I read, but I'm also very visual and like the video thing, which is, why I produce a TV show. But so it's interesting, how this might pan out in the future. And I guess one of the fourth question, I'm not sure how much time we have left, Sandy and Diane, but the fourth question I want to make sure we got
Heather, Heather, you got 5 minutes to go.
Okay, so we'll have to come back to this later, but what the biggest challenges are for families right now, obviously with COVID, and how people can use AI in the future for education, how that's going to commingle. Maybe that's something that you guys can answer written and then put that in, since we have 5 minutes left. Is there anything that you guys want to close with?
Yeah, go ahead, Cassini.
Yeah, I think there was a question from the audience that's more directed to you, Ivy, or you, Bipin. How many kids in the classroom do you, or I guess maybe is most optimal with a robot like the ones we're seeing on the screen?
Thank you.
Yeah, so the ones that we had experience with, typically on a scale of 8 to 10 students, interacting and jointly working together, rather than having a much larger group. And what we also noticed is the students are given breakout sessions. So during the entire time frame, they will have certain breakout sessions for anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. So smaller groups are then asked to go and do the interaction with the robot as a part of the learning exercise. So that's something that we have noticed. In the schools where there is also a robotic clubs, some schools do have robotic clubs, and they spend a whole lot of time, more than that, not only from applying the software and building the software perspective, but they also take the time and effort to create this as a club for them to work on an ongoing basis. So they work in the evenings, the weekends, to continue to build the next generation software in order to work with these robots. And those are also group sizes under 10. So mostly 10, below 10 is a very effective number. It's a short answer.
Ivy, do you want to add anything?
Okay. In Taiwan, we actually have like 4 to 5 people as a group. So the reason we have 4 to 5 is that sometimes the children see the robot, they are crazy. And when robot smile or robot dance, they are too crazy about it, and the teacher is not able to control the kids. So that we would like to break out to a small group, and that would be better control for the kids and for the learning process. So usually we have one school that have 5 robots for like 20 to 25 students in the classroom. Yeah.
And do they is it funded in Taiwan by the government, or do they have to find private funding to put those in the school? How does that work?
Sorry, can you say again your question?
To have the robots in the school, you said 20 to 30 students. You know, how many robots do they have per school, and is it funded? You know, is it privately funded or is it funded by the government? It's probably funded by the government, right?
Both. We have a government who purchased like 1,000 robots for all the all the city schools. And the school teachers, they have to provide their proposal, the teaching proposal, for the government to apply for the robots. For school, this is for free. But some of the school, they have the budget. They purchase the robot directly from us. So that's a both way for the business model. Yeah.
Okay. Any other last thoughts? I think it's probably been 5 minutes, right, Diane? Are we?
No, you only got like 1 minute. You already almost used your 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay. So, Kishna, do you want to say anything? You didn't say anything final for your thoughts for everybody?
You know, my final thoughts, Heather, would be the same as I started with, that I think that intentionality comes first. I think most of us on in this particular panel are designers, right? So I think that robots can be used in reductive ways as like homework assignments and so on. And to circle back to your question about the current situation with COVID fatigue and with many kids basically, you know, losing focus and dropping out of the school system, I think what we must consider first and foremost is the need to learn. And that's where robots can really help as conversational agents, as methods for practicing the learning, or for having a purpose for like making or coding or something like that. But that need to learn needs to come first.
And from my end, some final thoughts is that, you know, we're seeing in healthcare, personalized medicine, we're seeing in automotive and other sectors, you know, very personalized ways of working with the consumer. In retail, the same thing. Education needs to be personalized too. Every kid learns in their own way, in their own way of understanding and learning things. So robots can play a very key role in personalizing a learning pathway for each student or each children based on their learning abilities and assessing them as it goes through. And it can modulate those different teaching topics based on the students' understanding and the grasping and applying them. And that's very important because today, you know, a lot of the things are just learning and doing tests. But now robots can really guide through applications where you can really evaluate the students' strength in that area and hone in their abilities to do the best so that they can start creating their own careers and forming their careers, whichever they want. But robots is just an enabler to make that happen.
Okay. For me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm expecting that students can learn better with the robots because robot is more attractive than, you know, to learn with the iPad or with computer. So I think the children can be more focused to interact with the robot, especially they can also learn the social behavior and the emotion with the robot. So I think the robot can help students in any kind of perspective. And I also expecting that there's a customized robot for each family. So that we can all have one robot in their family. And this is a cost effective that people can afford it. Thank you.
Diane, back to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Heather, for the wonderful moderating job. And I especially want to thank the Ivy, James and Wayne, and actually they're in Asia and they got up early in the morning and joined our discussion today. So we're going to take off very soon. I want to thank everybody again. Thanks to all the speakers and thanks to all the audience. And also thanks to Shanglin, Mingyuan, Xiaojie, Li Xuan, and also the Dingding TV team, Sandy, and our editor Ming Xia for being with us. And also I would especially want to thank to our moderator, Carl Sterling and Heather Dunham. So everybody, I would like to say Merry Christmas to you and to your family. And thank you so much. And bye. Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, everybody.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh yeah, before we
Happy
take off, let's take a group picture together. Turn on your camera and let's take a group picture together. Everybody, turn on your camera. Okay, it's great. See, Sing Wang, Mingyuan, and Ming Xia. If anyone, everybody should turn on your. Oh, I also thanks to our audience, Joanna, being with us all the time. Okay, everybody smile, and I'm gonna take a picture. Hey, Merry Christmas. Okay, wonderful. Oh yeah, Joanna is here. So let's take another one. Okay, Merry Christmas. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna send the picture to you guys and hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful evening. So
I should have gotten the Christmas antlers out.
Yes, Christmas, Merry Christmas.
The flashing Christmas antlers.
That's fantastic.
Yes. I hope that
Happy holidays,
we
you guys.
see you back.
Happy holidays.
This is so important to have the dialogue between United States and Asia. So we're gonna have
so
you guys
Diane,
back.
do you want to mention to everybody too that we're trying to get a panel together with some scientists who are working on the try to get both sides, the pro and the non-pro of the virus vaccine.
I'm going to tell us the schedule and idea, and you can tell us what this panel, what this discussion about. Our next forum is going to be on the end of January or the beginning of February. It's going to about the vaccination for COVID-19. So that's a topic everybody really care about. So Heather is going to tell us who are going to be on the panel and what is that about.
Well, we're still determining the panel, but there's a scientific group we met with this morning who, are working on different things. And if you have a suggestion as well, let Diane know for a speaker for that. So we have a couple, but yeah.
Yes. So hope you guys will come back and join us again. Okay.
Nice to meet everybody.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you. Bye.